Hi guys, my name's Michael Ulpen. I'm a local game developer. I've also got a rich history over the last 2 years or so. It's been very compact, but I've done a lot of living in the game development industry. So I'm here to explain to you guys a bit of a horizontal sweep of the industry, the community, the education opportunities, and the process of game development in South Australia. So firstly, I'd like to share a little bit about me. So when I was 20 years old, I still didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was working as a delicatessen assistant at Foodland. I'm sure you guys may or may not be aware of how hard that is. Anyway, a friend of mine named Daniel called me up and he said, I've just finished Assassin's Creed and the ending was crap, it was terrible. And I said, I bet we could make a better game than that. And so I started writing. He was writing too. At the end of it, he ended up with 1 page, I ended up with 20,000 words. And after that, I wrote another 5. And I thought, maybe there's a future in this. So I went to uni, and with no knowledge, absolute ignorance of what game development actually meant, I entered Uni SA, game design, games and entertainment design, and I learned how to be a programmer. Turned out I wasn't that bad at it. Obviously I was at a much lower level than most of the other people in the course because I'd never done it before. But I learned very quickly. After my first year, my course coordinator, Stuart von Itzstein, compelled me to start a club. And we called that the Uni SA Game Makers Club. A few weeks in, I went to a community event called ARG, and we met up with an artist named Robert Porter from TAFE SA Game Art. He got me in touch with 50 artists from TAFE SA, and the Uni SA Game Makers Club doubled in size on a weekend. And so now, today, we've got something like 186 members. And yeah, we've been running events and doing crazy stuff ever since. And we renamed the Uni SA Game Makers Club to the South Australian Game Makers Association. Maybe a death wish, not sure. But yeah. We've been trying to do as much good as we can in the games industry. That year was the first year that I wanted to enter a game into a thing called the Indie Games Room at AVCON. And it was that year that I heard that Ben Kilsby, the current coordinator of the Indie Games Room, was pulling out. And I thought, oh, we can't be having that. And so I applied for the job and I got it very easily because they didn't have anyone else. And the first year was terrible, but since then I've done it one more time and we're back up to the same level. So yeah, that's my pathway into game development. Yeah, so let's continue on with what I'm here to tell you all about, game development. I'll give you a bit of a horizontal sweep of everything that South Australia has to offer. So firstly, industry. I think Shane's coming in.
Yeah, Monkey Stack's coming today.
All right, so here are a few of the larger game developers in South Australia. Firstly, there's Monkey Stack. Primarily, they're in charge of a brand now called Double Happy versus the Infinite Sadness. They're primarily an animation studio. So if you're a bunny young animator, go and get to know these guys. They're very nice people. They run a workshop called the Monkey Stack Incubator for digital artists. So you can go in 2 days a week for a month and they will get you to develop a portfolio. They'll basically pinch everything they want out of you. But yeah, they're there to teach you how to be amazing artists, and they can give you industry level workflows and amazing experience in the industry. So yeah, do that. They're also major sponsors of the Indie Games Room. These guys are champions of the independent development scene in South Australia, and we love them for that. The other larger studio in Adelaide is called 6 Foot Kid. These guys are a subdivision of the People's Republic of Animation. Like Monkey Stack, these guys are primarily artists, and they're primarily they've done a game called Band Stars in the last year. They showed it at AVCON Indie Games Room last year. And they're published by a studio called Half Brick, who are the creators of Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride. They're also an Australian company. They're also very good friends of ours. Go in and say hello. Now, For the couple big studios, there's quite a lot of small ones. Not as many making money as we might like. But here are a few of the interesting ones. Firstly, there's Mighty Kingdom, very good friends of ours. They're making 10 games in a year. They've got an agile workflow that allows them to create a game in 6 weeks. And they're doing very well. So far, they've made 6 or 7 games this year. Masteroid, Overload, Gelati, Safari are just a few. And yeah, we're actually in very close contact with their CEO, Philip Mays. He's actually teaching us how to make games. So yeah, I need to stress this point, get in contact with these people because they can give you all sorts of things. The other studio is called Odd Games. Now these guys aren't really employers at this stage, but they're looking pretty good. They've made a game called Monster Truck Destruction. Their public relations manager, Ben Marsh, has been jet-setting around America, getting in contact with all sorts of sponsors. And so far they've sold something like 2.8 million copies. So they're doing quite well. They attended a entrepreneurial workshop called Mega, and they won the South Australian Mega Business Challenge in 2011. And this is where the two developers got in touch with Ben Marsh, and yeah, since then they've been kicking around making millions of dollars. Before I move on, I wanted to have a slide that would show you the sheer number of studios that are in Adelaide who aren't currently selling anything. So, as I told you before, I'm coordinating the Indie Games Room at AVCon, and I have been for the last 2 years. This year, we got 54 expressions of interest. About 48 people showed their games at the Indie Games Room, and this is unprecedented. We are the largest showcase of independently developed video games in the Southern Hemisphere, not just Australia. So if you're living in South Africa, you might as well come over to Adelaide to show off your game. So now I said there are a lot of studios in Adelaide. Not a lot of them are selling games, but they need to get a kick in the rear to start doing that. Here are a few of them. The list keeps going. Let's keep going. As you can see, there's an amazing number of games out there. Who here has been to AVCon before? Yeah? You attended the Indie Games Room?
Yep.
Good man. Did you have fun?
Yep.
This year?
Mm-hmm.
That was me. We take expressions of interest. So we take, there's an expression of interest period that goes from February to about March, I think. January, February, March? No, April, June? June. And then after that, we're just preparing in the lead up to AVCon. So yeah, please get in early if you've got a game and we'll showcase it for you. So like I said, there are a lot of companies in Adelaide, and now you guys are just starting out, and so this is the perfect time to get to know these people because they're very willing to teach you, I assure you. So next we move on to the community of game development. For every industry there's a community of people who make that industry function. And that industry grows the community, and the community grows the industry. In South Australia, there's 4 very important groups that form the community. There's a lot of other ones, but these are the main ones. Firstly, there's my gig, the Indie Games Room. It's the largest showcase of independently developed video games in Australia. And it's shown annually at AVCon, at Adelaide's Anime and Video Games Convention. So yeah, please tell your friends. Please submit games to us. We're hoping to move the Indie Games Room interstate as well, tour around Australia, hopefully on the pocket of the convention instead of our developers. So yeah, we're trying to do some very good things. Secondly, there's a group called Jamalade, and these guys, they run Game Jam. A Game Jam is basically where a group of people come together and they form little teams and they make a game in a weekend. All of these teams will make a game in a weekend, and they generally run on some certain theme that all of the teams decide on through a vote or something like that. And yeah, there's, I think the last Ludum Dare was based on the theme of escape, I think. Do you know? No? Okay. Well, yeah, there might be the theme of escape, there might be the theme of evolution. So these teams just get that idea and then they formulate ideas and make a game out of it. So Jamalade is definitely the best place to test your skills. If you can make a game in 2 days, you can sure as hell make a game in 6 months. So yeah, get in touch with them on Facebook. They've also got a website. I'll show you that in a little bit. Moving on. Now, those guys are really for learning how to develop games and showcase them. These make up the larger community. So firstly, we've got a group called ARG. That's Adelaide's Really Good Gathering of Game Developers. The D is silent. And they meet every month at the Goodwood Hotel. I'm not sure how many of you are 18. Put up your hands if you're 18. Yeah, very good. You can come join us. So it's the best place to meet and mingle with game developers. I can't tell you how many game developers I've met through ARG. I met Kimbo Forrest, production manager of the People's Republic of Animation. I met Shane Bevan there. I met Tony Albrecht and countless other guys. And Mike Cooper as well. These are big names in the games industry, and I hope you guys will appreciate that in a couple of years' time as well. And then the last group is the South Australian Game Makers Association. This is the one I formed not so long ago as well. And we are a collection of the best, most motivated game developers in South Australia. And we are devoted to nurturing the game development industry in South Australia, connecting potential employees with employers. We teach and we learn game design concepts, and we hope to be the best that there ever will be in all the world. You can find us on Facebook, and soon we'll have a website up. Hopefully it will be worthy of the name. Firstly, we heard of Jamalade. They spread news about Ludum Dare, Avcon, the Molly Jam, Doe, Roundup, Curiouser and Curiouser. There's so many game jams out there. These guys run a few, and they also spread the word on a lot more, and they run their own chapter of these events in Adelaide, even if they're global game jams. And some of these game jams have prize money up for grabs, not a lot of them. But yeah, it's definitely a place to get your name out there, get your games out there. They also have a Facebook, and you should join their club. Now, this is Adelaide's Really Good Gathering of game developers. And yeah, very big names in here. Join their association. Just go on Facebook, look up ARG. 3 Gs. You'll figure it out. And here's the South Australian Game Makers Association. So join this place. This is good. We have lots of job adverts here recently. If I scroll down a little bit. There we go. So there's Philip Mays there, CEO of Mighty Kingdom. Kimbo Forrest there, CEO, production manager of 6 Foot Kid at the People's Republic of Animation. There's Tony Albrecht making posts further down. These guys are very easy to get in contact with. Join the association, get involved. And I'll look up Jamalade as well. Jamalade, open group. Join these guys. These are the heroes of the game development industry in Adelaide. These guys will teach you how to do it. So that's the community. There's 1,000 game developers in Adelaide. It takes a lot of effort to get them all together in one room, trust me. But yeah, the sooner you guys get involved, the sooner you guys can start making games. So let's move on to education opportunities. Now, I went to UniSA. I did the Bachelor of Information Technology, Games and Entertainment Design. This is a programming-heavy course. These guys will teach you how to do the programming that goes towards game development. Now, I am currently teaching as a lecturer at the South Australian Institute of Business Technology. They're basically running the same content as UniSA, trust me. And they run a multitude of pathway programs into UniSA. So if you're not able to get into the UniSA Bachelor of IT, if that's what you want to do, just contact Sabit and you'll go through the same courses, We'll try and teach in a more convenient way for you guys, and you'll get into UniSA no problem. Now, if you guys are artists, if you want to be a 3D or 2D or a UI designer, user experience designer, go do TAFE Game Art.
They're coming today, guys.
They are. These guys are the best at teaching art in South Australia. I'm not afraid to say that. Also very good friends of ours. And yeah, these guys are very, very lenient on you. If you've got issues with going to school and doing the study, getting the work done, these guys are very lenient on you. They'll give you extended deadlines everywhere. I shouldn't say that, but if you have issues and you need to do art, you just love it, go there, definitely, don't go anywhere else. These guys also do pathway programs into UniSA as well. Hello? So TAFE do pathway programs into UniSA as well. If you're into getting a more legitimate piece of paper to your name, feel free to do that. But I would recommend just staying with TAFE. These guys are very good at what they do. There's another one, there's another workshop in Adelaide called CEW Studios.
They're coming down today as well, guys.
That's good. And the concept design workshop, these guys have a lot more experience than the lecturers at TAFE, but they don't run a full course, they run short courses. If you are really passionate about doing art, get in contact with these guys. Simon Scales, I believe, is the man. And yeah, sit down and do some life art drawing. They have naked people walking into the office, so it's all good fun. And the last on the list is Mega, the Entrepreneurial Masterclass. And if you guys are interested in starting a business, I strongly recommend that you go attend Mega. I mean, Odd Games did it, and now they're selling 2.8 million copies, so yeah, if you want to be successful, do that. And now, that's it for education. Let's move on to the process of making games.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just with the first one, the Bachelor, what sort of good prerequisites should students think about for entering that? Is it more emphasis on the programming side of things?
It's definitely it's definitely emphasises programming. You don't really need a very big TER to get into that course. I don't know what the TER is.
It's like 68 or something at the moment.
There you go. So yeah, just get above 68 and you'll be fine. But if you attend Save It, you can get in regardless of your TER. So yeah, I don't know if you want to be game programmers. Who here wants to be a game programmer? Yeah? Who here wants to be an artist? Yeah?
Come on, artists, you're always shy.
Come on, guys.
I think there's a mix, and there's a few that are just wondering about the field, so it's good that you're showing us that there are industries and actual job opportunities out there. So.
There's not, in the indie scene, there's not really a distinction between artists and programmers. So if you want to do everything, then do everything. Okay. Here is the process of game development that we've learned over the last 4 weeks. This is our newest game. This is what we're working on. So in the, we've got a mentorship with a guy called Philip Mays at Mighty Kingdom, and he's making games in 6 weeks. He's very good at it. He's got 10 years experience. He knows what he's talking about. And we've been sitting with him 1 day a week, and we've been developing a game. So what he told us to do in the first week was develop a core prototype. This is the core mechanic of your game. Use grey boxing, no art, no world design. If you don't have any world design, no one's going to say you're not allowed to implement this mechanic because the game design says you're not allowed to do it. If it's just grey boxing, then the game is just a formless blob. We're just trying to make something fun, okay? So that is why these are all grey boxes, and we just implemented a few mechanics and we showed it to the rest of the team, and everyone's like, that's really fun, let's get on board with that. And so in the second week, we got our artists to do our first pass of the art, and they tried to make it look nice. From the art, we were able to create a bit of world design. And this kind of looks like a temple, sort of a tower, right? And we decided that this was going to take place in Mesoamerican culture, a Mayan temple. And in Mayan culture, they've got about 5 sun gods. So this temple is, this tower is devoted to reaching the sun, and that's why you keep climbing. You want to reach the sun. So after we've got our core mechanics done, we do our first pass of other mechanics. And we still have to keep asking the question, is it fun? If it's not fun, we know that it's probably the last mechanic we just put in there, we have to tweak it or remove it. Let's keep it fun. That's the main point. So that's week 2. Week 3, we did the first pass of animation. We did a bit of a basic user interface, and we did a lot of debugging. Don't debug until you're well past the initial stages of the initial prototype. There's a lot of debugging to do, but it's a lot more satisfying to implement mechanics and do the debugging later. And this will keep people's motivation up, that's for sure. So we did the first pass animation. I don't know if you can see there, but there is a little man. There is a little man that just flails around. Why can't I go into the slideshow? Never mind. There's a little man flailing around in the middle there. There's some basic user interface around the place. And yeah, this water, when you jumped up the tower and got a bit further away from the water would just like blink up to your level, and that was a bit of a bug. The gold coins were arcing and they were going through the platforms. The thing was an absolute mess. We've been able to sort that out. So that's week 3. Week 4, we did the second pass of the art, we did the second pass of the animation, we polished up the mechanics, and we're still doing a lot of debugging. Here you can see we've got a resurrection vial there, a magnet there. You collect those, you get some power-ups. And yeah, the little animated man now looks a little bit like Indiana Jones. So yeah, it's coming along. And here's week 5. Now we're preparing to ship the product. We have to really polish this. We have to do promotions, promote this to all the relevant people, and we have to aim at finishing what we've started. If we don't finish it, then there's no point even starting, right? So yeah, that's what it looks like. We're aiming to put it onto smartphones, but we'll probably just put it on computers for now. The reason for that is we need a hard deadline. We need a hard deadline. We need to get something done, and we need to move on. There's a lot to be learned from actually finishing something. So we feel like we could put some extra time into polishing this up, but why would we when we can make another game in 6 weeks and polish that one up? And then the next time we'll be even more skilled. And then after that we might move on to bigger projects, longer term projects. So we need a hard deadline and we need to ship the product. This game's called Temple Tower. That's our little icon down the bottom. We're Overworld Interactive. Thank you for listening.
Any preview of the game?
Any preview of the game? I can give you a little bit of a preview of the game.
We've got about 3 minutes before the bell goes.
I can do that. Let's maximise on play. Now I want to turn off the sound because it's horrible. Yeah, let's turn off the sound. So, we're here to climb the tower.
Nice tower. Looks like a ninja.
So Michael, this game was made in Unity?
It was made in Unity.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of reasons for using an engine. We don't want to alienate our artists by just writing code because then they don't have anywhere to put their art. You know, they're just putting it in a file system and relying on the programmers. One of the main benefits of using an engine is everyone can get on board with making the game, and it keeps people's motivation up. So this tower is procedurally generated.
It's a bit like what you want to say.
Your height is always constant.
Yeah.
And the platforms are clicking through the wall.
Thank you. I'll sort.
Beta testers here.
Hey.
Stop beta testing.
I'll sort that out.
Whoa.
I hit the water and I lost a life and I bounced up.
Yeah, they did nothing but find faults in it. Just like Crash Bandicoot.
This is cool, huh?
There
Any final questions
should
before the
be.
bill goes for Michael while he's showing off the games? Bradley?
Yes. Is it available on Mac? I'm not quite sure.
Unity
I can even put it on Windows Phone if you like, but the issue is,
Even if it's on Windows, I can put it on Mac anyway.
we need to do a lot of debugging to get the user interface to work on all of these different platforms.
So everything is randomly generated?
Not randomly, procedurally. A lot of work has gone into making sure that we can actually make our way to every platform in the game. So yeah, I'd like to stop playing now that I've just disproven that theory. I know how to fix that, trust me. Okay.
That's fantastic. Any other questions for Michael?
Yes. Any questions?
Can we give him a big clap if that's it?
Yes?
I was going to ask, you mentioned at the start that there were lots of developers
Yep.
in Adelaide, but not many were actually selling games. I was just going to ask, why is that?
Why is that? There's a lot of fear around finishing a project. I'm sure Shane can vouch for that. There's a lot of people making games, a lot of people partially finishing them, showcasing them at AvCon and then moving on to something else. Game developers aren't really businessmen. You have to have a business plan in order to finish something and ship it, and there needs to be someone who's going to do that.
So where's their money coming from?
Nowhere. Game development is very easy to get into. There's no capital involved in setting up a business, really. If you want to hire a studio at CDW Studios, it's $75 a week per table. I think that comes to $16,000 a year, maybe, or 12, I can't remember, for a team of 4 people, which is the sort of team I'm working in. Once you're able to cover those costs by selling games, you have to cover the costs of paying people, and that's a lot more expensive. Don't worry about the money. If you want to make games, just make games in your own home, and yeah, don't even worry about selling them at this point. You're here to learn skills, okay? And then later on, when you're happy with what you've got, push it out there and just learn as much as you can while you can. You've got another 6 years before you're at my level, so don't worry so much.